I'm John Paul Hasko. It's kind of a Halloween setting here with the fall colors. Over 30 years ago, on May 1st, 1980, we had a health and safety strike, and I was out here on the picket line. Mike Wallace came down and did a 60-minute piece on strike for their lives. Came down to the picket line. That was 81, and then we had the Gulf War in 91, and the soldiers in Kuwait drew a line in the sands of Kuwait. We drew a line on the picket line in 1981. I gave a speech at East Tennessee State last Tuesday night, and when I closed out the program, I said, you know what the real problem is with DU, depleted uranium? We don't have a 4.5 billion year half-life. We only have this life to make it right for the children.
Right.
And I've been on the health and safety side of this DU issue for 30 years now. As a worker in the plant and outside, we did a very important work up in Concord in '97, had a DU forum in Concord with Leonard Dietz and Carol Piku and myself and some others. We didn't have the sophistication today of letting it go viral, but I'm going to have, because we own that, we can do what we want with it through the Military Toxics Project, which is no more. I'm going to have that pulled out of a DVD that I gave CPT and get them to Christian Peacemakers Team, and get them to pull that video of Concord, it's a little over 2 hours, and attach it to their website for the functions that are going on for these 9 days about depleted uranium munitions and how murderous it is. If they get that attachment onto their website and people can click on it, they're in for quite a show.
What is the website?
Well, it's Christian Peacemaker Teams. Linda Monica, she has her website possibly.
Okay. Now, you used to work, or you still work at Aerojet?
No, I have here's what I did. I used to work at Aerojet. I left in 1992. At the DU forum, I challenged Aerojet. I said, Aerojet, I'm going to take my cards and put them on the table. I'm going to take my $83.30 retirement and put it on the table. And I want you to put your money on the table. And if you don't have enough money, I want you to go to Aerojet General. And if they don't have enough money, I want you to go to GenCorp and the stockholders and put the money on the table. And I want you to get an independent epidemiological study done for the successive graduating classes of David Crockett High School from 1977 to 1997. And I want you to pay for it and let the DU chips fall where they may.
What'd they say?
I don't know. And what do the children say? What are they going to say down at Crockett? Aerojet used to have PR campaigns to keep a high profile in Jonesborough, how beneficent they were. The David Crockett Football Player of the Week. Used to have a National Storytelling Festival years ago where they paid for the tents. They have a library in Jonesborough. Where they donated a $28,000 wing of the library. And on the door as you enter the room, it says, this room is donated by Aerojet Ordnance, Tennessee. I met with Christian Peacemakers and brought them up to speed on DU in that room. In 1994, we had an International DU Forum for Military Toxics Project in that room in Jonesborough in '94. We had a presentation at the Visitor Center. We had a guest speaker, Arjun Magajani, and we had 7 people showed up. My one friend, Grady Mickey Lenore, he was so disheartened. He apologized to Leonard Dietz and Carol Piku and Damasio Lopez and Arjun Magajani and others. He said, I am so sorry that there's nobody here. It was sad.
It isn't. As a person who has worked with Arjun Makajani and others on these issues for a long time, it isn't all that unusual. It is sad. You know, it's hard to get people.
We had quite a turnout here last Tuesday.
That's good.
At ETSU. And I am blessed to be involved in this. It's just totally awesome. Children are what drive me. In my presentation, I tell about a little Iraqi child. I got her picture off of Voices in the Wilderness, Kathy Kelly's website. Her name is Noura Talibi, third relapse, acute lymphoblast leukemia, El Mansour Hospital. She died in Baghdad. And I use that when I talk around the country, and I say, we are the children. The children are our legacy. How will we leave them? Will we leave them to shift for themselves in the morass of our own self-destruction? Or can we make the change that only the truth can bring? Very powerful, Noura Talibi.
Well,
I don't know what else to say. So much.
What you can say, this is going to go up on YouTube, and it's going to be accessible to a lot of people.
Okay, I also remember you want to get this Concord video from May of 1997 because in it I addressed the problem. I had sent a letter to Hillary Clinton and the White House, and I sent the 60-minute video. I sent a GAO report from 1993, Gulf War soldiers not adequately prepared to deal with DU. And in it I posed a hypothetical. I said, you know, suppose that in the Gulf War that soldiers are in a given theater of operations and there's a heavy tank battle and a lot of DU dust is flying, and the battle's over and the troops go home. 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 10 years, 20 years later, these same soldiers that were in that start getting sick and have lung cancer or cancers, leukemia, and start dying. Children have already died in Iraq. Dr. Gunther of the Yellow Cross. So let me give you 90 seconds on John McCain. Because of last April and Libya and all that's gone on, John McCain, in a post-Gaddafi Libya, Senator John McCain might well consider running for president of that country. To the Libyan people, he is a hero. No longer a hero of mine. As a Vietnam veteran, as is John McCain, and knowing that he is a POW, I do not take lightly the statement. He needs to return to the Hanoi Hilton, to pause, reflect, and meditate on his horrific actions on the floor of the United States Senate, calling for the use of AC-130s and A-10s to be used in Libya. He need look no further than the work of Dr. Gunther of the Yellow Cross. For it is the children, born and unborn, who have suffered and died. Senator McCain, you must be careful in what you wish for, your actions, your deeds. I don't know if that music is going to take us out or not.
I don't know either.
So there we were, in a health and safety strike. It lasted from May of 1981 to February of 1982. We had our court case before the National Labor Board. Our expert witness in our case was Dr. Carl Morgan. Dr. Carl Morgan was the expert witness in the Karen Silkwood case, in the 3 Mile Island case, and in the TNS versus Aerojet case, our case. His contemporaries were Enrico Fermi and Albert Einstein. And what they wanted to know about the bomb and its destructive power, Dr. Carl Morgan wanted to know what it did to the human body. Consequently, he pioneered the science of health physics. He was the first health physicist in the country, or in the world. He created that science. We had 15,800 pages of testimony. It took 22 years in the courts, and we got a one-liner back from the U.S. Supreme Court that basically said, your request for writ of certiorari in the TNS case is hereby denied. And one of the Chief Justices signed off on it. So one sentence. So what does that mean? They refused to hear the case. Pontius Pilate washed his hands The U.S. Supreme Court cannot wash their hands or otherwise decontaminate themselves from their decision to failure to hear the case. Had they done so, perhaps the soldiers in the first Gulf War would have better known how to protect themselves. They might have seen the testimony of Dr. Morgan, time, distance, and shielding, protect yourselves from DU. They might have been able to hear what some of the workers were talking about in those 15,800 pages of testimony. And also the civilians in Afghanistan and Iraq and other countries might have been able to protect themselves. Instead of playing with these spent DU munitions with the oxide dust, which Dr. Gunther, you've got to get hold of Dr. Gunther in the Yellow Cross. He's lived there and knew right from the get-go about the children. So there you go. That's part of the story. Thank you.